Hello my friends and welcome. Some awesome news are coming from the Kerch bridge. Kerch bridge on fire. Yes, it happened again for the second time, but not for the last time for sure. This is the video that was recorded from the train which was going on a railroad part, and here is the road part of the bridge. You may see that the construction just separated, but there are also damages from the other side. This is the other side of the road bridge, and you can see that the part of the construction, the part of the road, collapsed into the water. We have the satellite image of the bridge, so there are some holes that I just showed you, and this part just separated and went down. By the time of Kaboom, there was the civilian car in that particular area and it is lost completely. So two of the Russian citizens who went to Crimea lost their lives. And this is the railroad bridge that is intact this time. The last year it was a very entertaining and spectacular footage of the burning train actually on the bridge, and the construction was damaged. Finally, Russia was able to replace the construction of the railroad. They also repaired the road bridge, but as you can see, not for a very long time. As for this case, Russia say that they need around 1 month to restore the road. Sometimes you ask me what resources do I use to cover the Ukrainian conflict. One of the main resources for me is the ground news platform. They have the dedicated chapter especially for the Ukrainian war. And here you can see lots of the news relative to today's topic. The first mention of the Kerch bridge attack was this morning. Let's go for it. Crimea bridge, why is it important and what happened? And then you click on a topic, many of the original articles from many of the news resources start to appear dedicated to this particular issue. You may check the bias information from different of the news resources. As you can see, mostly it is in its central part. We also have the left and right coverage of the news plus factuality report. It gives you the potential credibility of the news origin, whether it's based on facts or not. We have the fact that the Kerch bridge was attacked again, so the credibility and factuality is very high over there. If the low factuality prevails, it means that there could be some speculations about the topic. And you may click to any kind of the original news article. Let's go to RTE, the government of Ireland. We have the information that this news resource has the government sponsorship, so it's not independent resource, but the article is based on the high factuality. Let's go for it. So basically here you may see all of the article why the Crimea bridge is very important, when it was built, and what will happen after this attack. The Kerch bridge Kaboom also triggered the other events today, for example, the cancellation of the grain deal by the Russian Federation. And the ground news also has many of the articles about that stuff. We're gonna speak about it in this video, and basically I got tons of the information from this resource. The ground news platform is not just a website, they have the awesome application available for iOS and Android users. I like the application because it has the geographical map reference to the news origin, and I know that if you watch me, you probably like the maps. So my friends, if you want to get the reliable platform to be updated on the current news about Ukraine and not only, I highly recommend you to go to my personal link, which is the ground.news/Dennis, where you'll have the 30% discount for unlimited access on this platform. The 30% discount is time limited, so hurry up to join the deal till 1st of August. By doing so, you also support the ground news team, who are doing the fantastic job presenting the news to the audience, and you also support my channel, by the way. So where the Kerch bridge was targeted? Actually, you can see it on this map. It's more closer to the Russian territory than to Ukraine. How was it possible? Ukraine carried out the drone boat attack. Yes, it's not the Storm Shadow or any kind of the long-range cruise missile or the ballistic missile. Why do I so sure about the boat drones? Because they were spotted on the satellite photo and it is available on the internet. If we zoom into this particular place, you'll see that there are 4 of the boats. They were spotted 75 kilometers away from the Snake Island. They were fast moving and it's not the Russian military. There is only one scenario possible for Ukraine to launch the drone attack on a Kerch bridge. They should have launched the drones from the Ukrainian controlled territory, maybe from some of the boats in this area, and the drones should have covered all of this distance. It is quite a lot and require a good signal to operate the boats. I think that it's not possible without the reliable internet connection, so here Starlink might help. Or the Ukrainian side could have done it without the internet by putting into the program just the coordinates of the turning points for the boats, programming it ahead, but in this case you do not have the control over the boat. And based on many of the videos coming from the Sevastopol attacks, yes, Ukraine used those drones before. They were actually controllable and they were carrying some of the internet antenna on the top. As you can see, Ukraine has no access towards the Azov Sea. That is why it's not possible for us to launch the attacks on a Kerch bridge from this territory. About the Russian military supplies, they still may use the railroad connection because the train bridge wasn't really damaged, or they may use the alternate connection from Rostov-on-Don towards Jankoy through the occupied territory. Well, we all know that Ukraine launches the long-range attacks on Mariupol, on Berdansk port, on Melitopol, on Genichinsk actually. So it could be the Fury Road for the Russian military and also for the Russian tourists, because Russia cancelled the ferry transportation across the Kerch Channel, and the only option for those Russian tourists who went to Crimea to return back to Russia is to use this Fury Road. I guess it might be like that in this case. To show at least something to the press, Russia blown up the scooter which they were able to find in the Black Sea close to the Kerch bridge. It was just a scooter that has much less range compared to the drone boats that were used. And the drone boats are very different compared to this black scooter. The Kerch bridge Kaboom was unexpected for the Russian Federation. They haven't even tried to secure the water perimeter around the bridge. They secured the bridge from the airstrike, but they have not a lot of brain to think about the possible attack from the water. That's actually the shame for the Russian side, because they knew that Ukraine has the drone boats. By the way, Ukraine hasn't taken the responsibility for this action, but I am sure it was the Ukrainian side behind this interesting event. Again, there are lots of the memes published on the internet. Why the Kerch bridge is so important? Because it's the main Russian logistic line to supply the troops and supplies to their army on the southern part of Ukraine and in Crimea itself. Even though Putin today lied that they do not supply the military through the Kerch bridge. So how do they do it? There is basically no any other way. In his evening speech, Putin promised the firm and strong response from the Russian military. He asked the Russian military command to advise some sort of the action that Russia may use as revenge. But they are already launching their rockets to target Ukrainian cities. They target Ukrainian infrastructure, civilians, military as well. So what new can they perform? Actually, there are no any options for the Russian Federation. Probably they will launch one more big attack on Ukrainian cities, and they would say that it was the revenge. Most of their drones and rockets would be shot down also as usual. Exactly 1 year ago, this day, the alcoholic Dmitry Medvedev announced the day of judgment for Ukraine in the event of the attack on Crimea. It could be, as he said, crossing the red lines. Well, we all know that Ukraine launched lots of the attacks on Crimean Peninsula. Today Russia lost their Sukhoi Su-25 attack airplane. It went and plunged into the Black Sea. The full video is available on my Telegram channel, so this is before and this is after. Pilot ejected from the airplane. He drowned because it was far away from the coastline, and probably he got some injuries due to ejection. Yes, sometimes they have those injuries. We know it from the practice because of the fight in the Kiev region. In the beginning of the war, Russians had lots of the wounds because of the malfunctions of ejection systems. Because of the Kerch bridge kaboom, Russia decided to cancel the grain deal. Russia doesn't guarantee any longer the safety for commercial ships that go to Ukrainian ports. By doing so, they trap not only the vessels, but many people in the third countries that are in desperate need of Ukrainian grains. So potentially Russia may attack those ships. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, confirmed that Russia exited the grain deal. However, Erdogan also added that he will try to convince Putin to prolong the deal. Also, the official China said that the grain deal is important and shouldn't be stopped. President Zelensky today said that Ukraine haven't signed any kind of the agreements with the Russian Federation, so if Russia wants to quit something, they are cancelling the agreements with Turkey, with the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and also Antonio Guterres, the chief of United Nations, if we may call him like that. Zelensky urgently started the new negotiations with Erdogan and United Nations to continue the grain deal without the Russian Federation. Actually, around 1 week ago, President Erdogan said that Turkey will provide security for the marine ships that go to Ukrainian ports if Russia cancels the deal. So I think it's time for it. So what Russia wants from all of this grain question? They want to connect one of their banks back to the SWIFT, and they also want to lower some of the sanctions on their products. It would potentially give some of the fresh air to the Russian oligarchs and more income, and the funds would partially go to the Russian army, to the Russian military. It is not good for Ukraine. So I guess that the variant with the Turkish security is more profitable for us. Alright guys, as for the military map, we don't have the new update for today, but the situation is getting tricky for Ukrainian side, because from the latest information, Russia took one of the villages. This evening, Ukraine lost control over Novoselivske village. It's kind of bad because there is the important road that goes through this village, and potentially it could be used for the further Ukrainian movement. So by the time Ukraine attacks on the south and in the Bakhmut area, Russia concentrated 100,000 soldiers in this particular area in Luhansk Oblast and also in the part of the Kharkiv Oblast. Their main goal actually is to perform the offensive operation towards the Ukrainian controlled territory to Kupiansk, and on the southern part of this part of the front lines they want to advance towards Liman. Let's check out the units that they use. So mostly they are now over here in Kermina and they want to assault from Dubrova and towards the Richne. 100,000 soldiers, 900 tanks, many more armored vehicles and artillery. It's more than the Soviet Union got to attack the Afghanistan. The information about that quantity is coming from the Ukrainian military official command, so I hope we know what to do with them. So far, most of the Russian attack attempts just failed. So again, we are speaking about one more potential Russian assault. However, according to the British intelligence, Russia is in lack of the weaponry, especially the sophisticated one like counter-battery radars Zoopark and Zoopark 1M. Most of those were kaput by Ukrainian army. It is a very unique system and Russia cannot produce them massively. So Russian commanders and even generals start to complain that they are unable to identify the location of Ukrainian artillery. Awesome news for Ukraine. According to the Oryx statistics, for the recent 2 days, Russia lost 66 of the vehicles. Ukraine lost 13 of the vehicles. That's the huge difference, 1-5 in favor of Ukraine. And Ukraine is on assault right now. Russia lost 10 of the tanks and many of the artillery systems. It means that Ukraine is on the right way. My friends, hopefully we'll have many more good news tomorrow. I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine. Don't forget to press the like to this video and don't forget to check my personal link to the ground news. It is the best news resource out there on my personal opinion. I'm very happy that they are the sponsors of my channel because I would never put something as an advertisement for my followers which is not good for them. So be sure ground news is the awesome one. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.